Imagine standing in front of the night sky. Billions of stars scattered like glittering possibilities, each one waiting for your eyes to find it. You gaze upward, and for that brief instant, one particular star seems to shimmer brighter than the rest. That's not just coincidence. That's the universe responding to observation. What most people never realize is that reality doesn't simply exist. It appears through the act of awareness. Quantum physics shattered the old idea that the universe runs like a machine, indifferent and separate from us. The double-slit experiment revealed something extraordinary. When particles are not observed, they behave like waves, existing in every possible state. But the moment we look, they collapse into a single outcome. In other words, your attention turns possibility into reality. This isn't abstract philosophy. It's the fundamental mechanism of creation. The universe doesn't wait for action. It responds to perception. Every time you focus on a thought, you are collapsing a wave of potential into a particle of experience. What you call life is the collection of waves you've observed into being. Most people wake up, live, and sleep believing they are just spectators in a movie already written. But here's the truthy: you are the writer, the director, and the lens through which the film even exists. Your consciousness is the projector. Without it, there is no scene. The universe is a mirror, and it reflects not what you wish for, but what you consistently observe as true. That's why your beliefs matter. That's why your inner dialogue becomes visible as circumstances. The person who constantly says, "I'm unlucky," isn't cursed. They're simply observing a world where luck doesn't exist for them. Their focus collapses a version of reality that aligns with their assumption. Observation is creation in disguise. You don't need to force, push, or beg the universe to change. You shift your perception, and the universe rearranges itself accordingly. When you start looking for evidence of opportunity instead of lack, that's when new doors appear. When you observe yourself as capable instead of limited, you draw power from the very fabric of existence. So pause for a second. Think about what you've been observing lately. Not what you say you want, but what your mind consistently watches, repeats, and expects. Every glance of attention is an energetic command to the field. You are speaking to the quantum level of reality every second. Through what you choose to focus on, the universe doesn't judge, it doesn't deny, it responds. It says, yes, to every observation you make. Focus on limitation, and it says, Wes. Focus on potential, and it says, Las. That is the law. Once you grasp that your awareness is the switch that turns possibilities into experiences, you stop chasing change and start choosing it. The world no longer happens to you. It happens because of you. Everything begins with consciousness. Before there was light, form, or time, there was awareness. Matter didn't emerge first, consciousness did. The universe isn't a physical structure sprinkled with awareness. It's a field of awareness that gave birth to everything physical. Think about that for a second. Every atom in your body, every cell, every object in front of you is energy vibrating at specific frequencies. But who's determining those frequencies? What's guiding the pattern behind every particle, every form, every law of physics? It's not randomness. It's intelligent observation. It's consciousness acting as the architect of matter. For centuries, we believed the universe was a giant clock ticking on its own. But then quantum mechanics arrived, and the clock shattered. The deeper scientists looked, the less solid anything appeared to be. Instead of tiny particles, they found probabilities, fields of potential waiting for awareness to give them definition. It's as if the universe was whispering, "I exist because you are here to perceive me." That changes everything. It means you are not in a world that's already been built. You are inside a world that's being built through your very act of consciousness. You are both the observer and the architect, the dreamer and the dream. Every moment you think, feel, and expect, you are laying down the blueprints of the next moment. This is why two people can live in the same world, but experience completely different realities. One sees possibility. Another sees limitation. One wakes up excited. Another wakes up defeated. The external circumstances may appear identical, but their consciousness, what they are aware of and focused on, creates two entirely different universes. Consciousness doesn't just witness reality, it sculpts it. It bends probability. It instructs energy where to go. It gives matter its marching orders. You can't separate your thoughts from the world you live in, because the world you live in is your thoughts projected outward. That's not metaphor, it's mechanics. When you understand this, life stops being something to survive and starts being something to create. You realize your consciousness is not confined inside your head. It's the very field that everything else arises from. The table, the stars, your heartbeat, all emerge from the same quantum ocean of awareness that you call I. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't need to earn this power. You already are it. Every intention, every vision, every quiet moment of clarity sends ripples into the field. You've been creating unconsciously your entire life. The shift happens when you start creating consciously. So the question becomes, what kind of architect will you be? Will you build a reality of fear, scarcity, and doubt, or one of expansion, courage, and purpose? Because whatever blueprint your consciousness holds, the quantum field will construct without hesitation. You are not a passenger in this universe. You are its hidden architect. And once you remember that truth, reality itself starts to bend around your awareness. Every second of your life, an infinite number of realities exist all around you. Every choice, every possibility, every version of who you could be, already exists in potential. But only one becomes real. Only one solidifies into your lived experience. And what determines which version you step into? Your focus. In the quantum world, everything exists as waves, pure potential. These waves don't become particles, don't become tangible, until something observes them, until something chooses where to look. That something is you. The moment you focus your awareness, you collapse the wave into a single reality. You take the infinite and turn it into one experience. Think about how powerful that is. Focus is the steering wheel of reality. Where you place it determines which universe you wake up in tomorrow. Every thought, every image you hold, every story you repeat to yourself, acts like a laser beam, cutting through the fog of infinite potential and carving one path into form. But here's what most people get wrong. They don't control their focus. They let it drift from fear to fear, problem to problem, complaint to complaint. And what happens when you constantly focus on what you don't want? You collapse waves of more of it. The universe isn't punishing you. It's obeying you. It's saying, This is what you're observing. So this must be what you want. The secret isn't to fight your circumstances. It's to master your focus. You don't defeat darkness by resisting it. You collapse light into being by focusing on it. When you hold your attention on possibility, instead of limitation, you literally reprogram the field of energy around you. Science calls it the observer effect. Spirituality calls it manifestation. But at the core, it's the same truth. Energy follows focus. The mind is the lens, and whatever you magnify becomes your world. If you constantly focus on lack, your lens only finds proof of it. But when you shift your focus to abundance, gratitude, opportunity, the field starts aligning with that vibration. You've seen this happen. You buy a new car, and suddenly you see it everywhere. That's not coincidence. That's quantum alignment. Your focus tuned into a frequency, and reality started echoing it back to you. The same thing happens with success, love, peace, or purpose. Whatever you consistently focus on, the universe expands. So the real question isn't, why isn't my life changing? The question is, where have I been focusing? Because your focus is your power to select the version of reality you live in. You are never trapped. You're just tuned into one channel. And with awareness, you can change the frequency. Collapse the wave consciously. Focus deliberately. Don't let distraction decide your destiny. The moment you master focus, you stop living in reaction and start living by creation. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to where your attention lies. And once your focus becomes pure, steady, and intentional, reality itself has no choice but to bend to your clarity. If thought is the signal, emotion is the frequency that carries it. You can think 1,000 ideas, but without emotion, they drift in silence. The universe doesn't respond to words, it responds to vibration. And your emotions are the purest form of that vibration. Every feeling you generate, love, fear, gratitude, doubt, is an electromagnetic frequency pulsing through the quantum field. When you feel something deeply, you're broadcasting that frequency into the fabric of reality. And the field, being responsive by nature, mirrors it back through events, people, and opportunities that resonate with the same signal. This is why two people can think the same thought, but create completely different outcomes. One says, "I'm successful," but feels fear and unworthiness underneath. The other says it and feels joy, certainty, and gratitude. The words are identical, but the frequency isn't. The field doesn't hear your affirmations. It feels your vibration. Emotions are the language the universe understands. Every time you dwell in fear, you tune yourself to a frequency where fear-based realities exist. Every time you feel gratitude, you shift into a frequency where abundance and alignment flow naturally. You don't need to chase outcomes. You need to vibrate at the level of what you desire. Science backs this up more than most realize. The heart emits the strongest electromagnetic field in the human body, hundreds of times more powerful than the brain. That field interacts directly with the quantum field. When your heart and mind align, when your emotion matches your intention, you become a coherent signal in a noisy universe. And coherence creates manifestation. Most people try to create from contradiction. They say, "I believe things will get better." But their emotions scream the opposite. The result: mixed frequencies, static. The field can't organize itself around confusion. But when you feel what you intend, as if it's already true, the universe harmonizes instantly. Gratitude is one of the most powerful frequencies because it bridges the gap between desire and having. When you feel grateful before the evidence shows up, you collapse the probability of it happening. Gratitude tells the universe, "This reality already exists for me," and the field responds by making it visible. Your emotional state is the control panel of your universe. You're not meant to suppress emotion, you're meant to guide it. Each emotion is feedback, a mirror showing what frequency you're currently broadcasting. Fear doesn't mean failure. It means you've tuned into a lower signal. Change the frequency, and the scene changes with it. So ask yourself, what are you feeling right now? Because that's the vibration you're sending out to the quantum field. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. The field isn't judging you, it's reflecting you. Master your emotions, and you master your frequency. Master your frequency, and you master your reality. Because in a quantum universe, emotion isn't weakness. It's creation in its purest form. The universe is not a one-way mirror. It doesn't just reflect you once and walk away. It keeps responding, adjusting, and amplifying the signals you send out. You and the universe are in constant dialogue, a continuous loop of energy and awareness. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take, it all feeds back into the field, which then mirrors it back as experience. This is the quantum feedback loop. Imagine it like an echo chamber of consciousness. Whatever vibration you release into the field amplifies and sends it right back. If you release fear, you start noticing reasons to be afraid. If you release love and gratitude, the world seems to open its arms in return. The field doesn't play favorites. It simply magnifies what you project. Here's the part most people miss. You are both the cause and the effect. Your thoughts create your reality, but your reality then reinforces your thoughts. It becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. That's why change feels hard. Not because the universe resists you, but because your feedback loop is running on autopilot. You've been rehearsing the same emotions, telling the same story, focusing on the same outcomes. And the field has learned to echo that energy faithfully. Think about it. If every day you wake up saying, "Nothing ever works for me," the universe responds, "Understood," and rearranges probability to make that true. Then you look at your life and say, "See, I told you nothing works for me." That's the loop. Thought creates evidence. Evidence strengthens thought. And around you go. But once you see the pattern, you gain the power to interrupt it. You don't have to keep feeding the same energy into the system. You can rewire the loop by consciously changing your internal frequency. The moment you start thinking differently, feeling differently, expecting differently, the loop begins to recalibrate. It doesn't always happen instantly, but it always responds. At first, the old echoes may still return, like ripples from a previous vibration. But if you stay consistent in your new signal, the field can't help but synchronize. That's how transformation happens. You stop reacting to old data and start broadcasting a new command. The beauty of the quantum feedback loop is that it's perfectly fair. It never punishes or rewards. It only reflects. Whatever you're experiencing right now is not judgment. It's information. It's showing you the vibration you've been holding. And when you use that feedback consciously, life becomes your greatest teacher instead of your greatest obstacle. So ask yourself, what are you feeding into the loop? What story are you confirming every day through your focus and emotion? Because the moment you shift the signal, the echo must follow. You don't have to chase results when you understand the loop. You just have to master your broadcast. The universe is always listening, always responding, always reflecting. And when your signal becomes one of trust, gratitude, and purpose, the loop becomes your greatest ally, turning your thoughts into living proof that reality was always waiting for your command. Now that you understand how observation, consciousness, focus, and emotion shape your universe, the question becomes, how do I actually shift my reality? How do you move from potential to physical experience? From the dream to the tangible? The answer lies in mastering one of the simplest, yet most profound techniques: quantum shifting through alignment. Here's the truth: you don't create a new reality, you select it. All realities already exist as probabilities in the quantum field. Every version of you that's successful, peaceful, fulfilled, they already exist. But you can't experience them until your consciousness aligns with their frequency. The universe doesn't hand you reality, it matches you to it. The technique begins with a shift in identity, not in action. You don't try to get the thing. You become the person who already has it. Because at the quantum level, your outer world is a reflection of your inner alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs match the reality you want, that reality has no choice but to materialize. So how do you do it? Start with awareness. Step 1. Observe the version of you that already exists. Don't imagine it like a faraway dream. See it as a frequency that's here right now, waiting for you to tune in. Ask yourself, if I were already that version, how would I think? How would I feel? How would I carry myself? The moment you answer honestly, you begin collapsing that version into your current timeline. Step 2. Feel it as real. Emotion is what seals the shift. Close your eyes and let yourself feel the gratitude, confidence, and peace of that new version. Let your nervous system believe it's happening now. Because to the quantum field, there's no difference between what's vividly imagined and what's physically experienced. It only responds to the vibration. Step 3. Detach from the how. This is where most people block their shift. They try to force the path, predict the outcome, control the details. But control creates resistance. The field doesn't need your micromanagement. It needs your trust. When you release the need to know how, you allow infinite intelligence to orchestrate the when and where. And step 4. Act from alignment, not desperation. Don't wait for evidence to believe. Let belief create the evidence. Every time you make a decision as if it's already real, you're solidifying that frequency. You're collapsing probability into physical form. This is the essence of shifting: observation, emotion, and surrender. You are no longer chasing change, you're embodying it. You stop asking for proof because you are the proof. Reality isn't out there waiting. It's here, fluid, flexible, responding to your every vibration. When you live from alignment, your world reorganizes itself effortlessly. What used to feel impossible becomes inevitable, because you've stopped trying to get there, and finally realized you were always the source of there all along.